This is Dan Dicks here reporting for Press for Truth on the absolute mayhem in Montreal right now as pro-Hamas maniacs are rioting in the streets, attacking police, and terrorizing everyone. They're running through the streets of Montreal, completely destroying the place, setting cars on fire, setting effigies on fire, completely destroying buildings and businesses and smashing windows absolutely everywhere. Chaos erupts while protesters are smashing windows, torching cars, wreaking havoc in the streets. Meanwhile, Justin Trudeau is just attending a Taylor Swift concert. Here he is dancing the night away while Montreal burns. This is the same man who is slamming others for questioning the high immigration policies. The Liberals just cut immigration after years of shouting down anyone who suggested as much. He was gaslighting Canadians on this now, admitting that immigration mistakes were made as Canada is changing its policy. Meanwhile, guys, Ezra Levant was just arrested while attempting to question some of these pro-Hamas protesters in Toronto. So we're going to show you that video because in Trudeau's Canada, Ezra Levant gets arrested to protect pro-terrorist protesters. We've certainly seen that before, guys. I had the exact same thing happen to me. You may recall when the Vancouver Police Department got violent with PFT. As Dan Dicks was told, you're arrested, under arrest for your protection. The exact same thing happened to me that happened to Ezra Levant, guys. We're going to break all of this down and much, much more in this video, guys. But really quickly, just before we do, I'd ask that you check me out right over here at subscribestar.com/pressfortruth if you appreciate my efforts to bring you this info, guys. Here you can do $5 a month or $10 a month. Whatever is within your means is very greatly appreciated, guys. I can't do this work without the support that comes from you, the viewer. So please click that top link in the description below to find me at subscribestar.com/pressfortruth. All right, check out this Zero Hedge article. Justin Trudeau watches Taylor Swift while riots erupt in Montreal. Riots erupted overnight in parts of Montreal after pro-Palestinian, anti-NATO protesters clashed with police officers, smashing windows of businesses, and they even set vehicles ablaze in the downtown area. There's footage now going around of this pro-Palestinian protester, a Concordia University student, who is threatening the Jewish community with a, quote, final solution. Listen to this girl. Just going around saying, final solution is coming, final solution. Warning that what's coming for the Jews. It turns out she owns a coffee franchise at Second Cup Coffee Company, and they just dropped her. But again, look what's happening here as these types of protesters and all of these guys are able to just march around freely and destroy the place. And watch what happens to Ezra Levant here as he tries to take a picture of some of these people and essentially gets arrested for breaching the peace. This is wild.
You're inciting this crowd and then it breaches the peace. Your presence is inciting them, and that's exactly what you're trying to do.
Your presence is inciting this crowd. So they're there. He's a journalist. He shows up, wants to take some pictures. The police say, no, you have to stand over here in this little tiny free speech bubble. And if you don't, you know, you're going to be the one who's responsible for inciting violence, even though he's just trying to do his job. Now watch what happens.
I'm a Jew.
No, because you're trying to incite them.
I haven't tried to incite them. I want you to take a picture of the hate crime that
You
you're
could have done it on
abiding.
the other side. You didn't need to walk over.
No, I wanted to go out. I don't
now I'm going to tell you to
know.
move over there.
And
And if you don't,
I allowed you to
See, he says, I'm telling you to move over there, and if you don't, you'll get arrested. All these other protesters are allowed to be standing there, but not the journalists. And watch what happens.
I allowed you to take that.
Yeah.
I'm not
So you're
crossing the
refusing
road.
to leave?
I'm refusing to leave.
Why?
Because I'm a Jew, I'm a citizen, and I'm your boss. And I don't leave because you say Jews aren't
Well, you know
allowed on the
what?
street.
In the interest of keeping peace here and public safety, you're under arrest for breach of the peace. Take it.
Take this.
In the interest of keeping the public peace, you are the one who is under arrest. Not these crazy, violent protesters. No. You are the one who's going to have to be taken away from here because your mere presence is inciting violence among these people. Do you guys remember when that happened to me? I was surrounded by a violent mob. The police said that my presence is the reason for this, and then they arrested me for my protection. This is when they attacked me. Here.
Let's go. Let's go.
All right, being escorted out now. Kaboom! Hit in the head with a full water bottle. They are now mobilizing to attack. You'll see here, they attack me again. I drop my GoPro. The police grabs me here.
Where's my GoPro? Yo.
And he says I'm trying to, listen closely to what he says.
Okay, yo, what are you doing?
I'm moving you so that we can do this quickly.
Why are you pushing me?
Why am I pushing you? Because I'm trying to save your life.
All right, guys.
Trying to save your life.
Put the cameras down.
He says I'm under arrest for my own
Telling you right
protection.
now, turn the cameras on.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Yes, I can, because you're under arrest right now.
Why am I under arrest?
Violently arrested, placed under arrest because they said my sheer presence was inciting this this crowd to become agitated. The same thing, exact same thing just happened. My situation was with the Vancouver police. Ezra's is with the Toronto police. And listen to what this National Post article says here. We have pro-Hamas rioters torching stores and attacking police in Montreal last Friday night. We've got anti-Israel protesters blocking streets, vandalizing Jewish businesses, terrorizing Jewish neighborhoods in Toronto and Ottawa with impunity. We have pro-Palestinian mobs beating up Hindu worshippers outside of their temple and brawling in the streets of Brampton, Ontario 2 weeks ago. Our cities have become ground central for ethnic grievance. Scores of people now think it's acceptable to appropriate public space for their own personal use and attack fellow citizens and damage private property, all in the name of their cause. And that just goes to show you just how far out of hand Justin Trudeau's, immigration policies have gotten. The same man who was, calling everybody racist for suggesting that the immigration policy was running out of hand. And now listen to him here gaslight Canadians and admit to the fact that they've made some serious mistakes.
In the last 2 years, our population has grown really fast, like baby boom fast. And increasingly, bad actors like fake colleges and big chain corporations have been exploiting our immigration system for their own interests. So we're doing something major. We're reducing the numbers of immigrants that will come to Canada for the next 3 years.
Yeah, because you
Today,
messed up.
I'm going to let you in on what happened, where we made some mistakes, and why we're taking this big turn. Between the amount of people coming and going, we'll effectively pause population growth for the next 2 years. Then from 2027 onwards, it'll balance out and slowly start increasing again at a sustainable pace. In fact, that gets us back to the population growth path we were on before the pandemic. This pause is going to give our economy and our communities the chance to catch up.
A pause in the immigration policy to give us a chance to catch up, he says. This is coming from the man who is really taking his orders from this man here. Guys, if you haven't seen I would call it a short documentary film. It's only 10 minutes long, but I made it in the style of a documentary back in 2016, George Soros and the Canadian Agenda Exposed. In this video, Dan Dicks Press for Truth warns Canadians about an upcoming coup currently being carried out by the Soros family, who are now trying to help Canadian refugees migrate to Canada. Again, this is from a film I made in 2016 that's basically, warned you about every single thing that's happening right now. And also in this video, I warn you about the next Soros to come, Alexander Soros. So I think if you haven't seen that one, guys, I'll put a link to that in the description below. Really strongly encourage you to check this one out. In fact, maybe I'll play it for you now. It's only 10 minutes. I did upload this a long time ago, so there's a good chance you haven't seen it. And even if you have, now's a good time to watch it again. So I'll play that one right after this. I want to remind you guys, if you do appreciate my efforts to bring you all this information, don't forget to check me out here at subscribestar.com/pressfortruth. You can check that top link in the description below of whatever platform you happen to be watching this video on. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please click the thumbs up button and share this video. Stay tuned for more video reports coming soon. But for now, here's my 10-minute short documentary film titled George Soros and the Canadian Connection and the Canadian Agenda Exposed. Check it out. George Soros, the divide and conquer king, currently has his eyes set on Canada. But just who is this man, and what does he have in store for the Canadian people? What is it that built his character? Who or what made George Soros the man he is today? To find these answers, we need to look no further than the Holocaust. During Germany's dark days, the 14-year-old Hungarian Jew posed as a Christian. With his adopted godfather, George Soros helped to confiscate the property of his former neighbors and friends. He watched them get rounded up and sent off to death camps. This kind of experience would scar most people, knowing that he was secretly a Jew, watching the people he knew stripped off of all their belongings and sent off to die like animals to the slaughter. But Soros says that this is what made him. This horrifying experience helped shape him as a person, for which he says he feels no guilt.
When the Nazis occupied Budapest in 1944, George Soros' father was a successful lawyer. He lived on an island in the Danube and liked to commute to work in a rowboat. But knowing there were problems ahead for the Jews, he decided to split his family up. He bought them forged papers, and he bribed a government official to take 14-year-old George Soros in and swear that he was his Christian godson. But survival carried a heavy price tag. While hundreds of thousands of Hungarian Jews were being shipped off to the death camps, George Soros accompanied his phony godfather on his appointed rounds, confiscating property from the Jews.
These are pictures from 1944 of what happened to George Soros' friends and neighbors.
You're a Hungarian Jew who escaped the Holocaust by posing as a Christian.
Right.
And you watched lots of people get shipped off to the death camps.
Right. I was 14 years old. And I would say that that's when my character was made.
In what way?
That one should think ahead, one should understand and anticipate events, and one is threatened. It was a tremendous threat of evil. I mean, it was a very personal experience of evil.
My understanding is that you went out with this protector of yours who swore that you were his adopted godson.
Yes.
Went out, in fact, and helped in the confiscation of property from the Jews.
That's right. Yes.
I mean, that sounds like an experience that would send lots of people to the psychiatric couch for many, many years. Was it difficult?
Not at all. Not at all. Maybe as a child you don't see the connection. But it created no problem at all.
No feeling of guilt?
No.
What kind of monster is this? A man who can crash currencies just by making the wrong or right statements. A man whose actions in the market are followed by speculators all around the world.
I am basically there to make money. I cannot and do not look at the social consequences of what I do.
Like risking $2 billion in Russia. When the Russian market began falling apart in August, Soros was the country's single largest investor. He called the U.S. Treasury and asked Uncle Sam for $7 billion to prop up the ruble. When U.S. officials failed to intervene, Soros wrote a letter to the Financial Times of London saying he thought the Russian currency should be devalued by as much as 25%. A few words from Soros were enough to cause panic selling that fueled the crash.
What's it like to have a statement that you make have such serious, grievous consequences? I mean, you can It looks to me like in a number of situations you can take a position against a currency or make a statement, and the whole country falls apart.
Well, it's a tremendous sense of responsibility, actually. And it's also a humbling experience because I am actually trying to do the right thing, and sometimes what I do has an unintended negative consequence, as it did in Russia.
When he visits other countries, he's treated as a head of state. And it's little surprise. A man with this much power practically is a head of state. He is above and beyond the state. He funnels his wealth into influencing politics and culture. He's the divide and conquer king. He has inflamed race issues by funding Black Lives Matter. He's the man behind Occupy Wall Street's ad busters and the so-called anarchists of the left. He thrives on establishing order out of chaos, and therefore, he funds the chaos. And of course, Canada is not immune. Already, the decision to allow in countless refugees is controversial. As we've witnessed in Europe, many of these refugees are destabilizing once peaceful communities. They are refusing to accept Western traditions and cultural practices and demanding that Western governments subsidize them and respect their barbarous culture and religion. Of course, the issue of why they are refugees to begin with is never answered. If the American military establishment hadn't decimated the Middle East, Europe would not be having this problem. And neither would Canada. While Immigration Minister John McCallum says that Canada needs to substantially increase immigration in order to fill Canada's labor needs. A bogus argument that does not pass scrutiny. The refugee question is a done deal. Canada has teamed up with George Soros and the UN Refugee Agency to promote and help settle refugees in Canada and around the world. As John McCallum said in an interview, we are having a joint initiative, and tomorrow we will announce it between Canada, George Soros, and the UNHCR, which is an initiative to sell our privately sponsored refugee program to other countries. I know of at least 13 countries who have a potential interest. He also said, I'm grateful to the UN and to George Soros for co-sponsoring this initiative with us. The fact that he is a billionaire gives you a clue as to what he might do, which is to contribute funding. And I know George Soros has really interested in the whole refugee crisis, and so it is normal for him to partner with us on this initiative, and since, as you have just said, he's a billionaire, I think that he will also provide some of the money. It is obvious that George Soros wants conflict in Canada akin to the American race war. After a manufactured picture of a Syrian child washed up on the beach made headlines around the world last year, Canadians have accepted the liberal promise to bring in refugees without question. Standing against this is outside the realm of allowable opinion. It's considered as uncivil as refusing to wear a poppy or publicly supporting Donald Trump. In the cold, socialist netherworld known as Canada, you cannot oppose the UN or unvetted refugees without being labeled a racist right-wing ideologue. But this is precisely the kind of conflict that George Soros thrives off of. As the chairman of the Open Society Foundation, the radical leftist is hell-bent on undermining the Western traditions that made Canada and the United States free and prosperous. George Soros is dedicated to reshaping the world in his image. He is a shining example of corporate money not only influencing politicians, but the media and culture as well. George Soros is everything that is wrong with this system. If Canada is going to survive this century, then men like him need to be stopped. But But don't think that old age will stop the Soros agenda. His son Alex Soros is right behind him, participating in the far-left anti-Trump protests. Born in 1985 and not having experienced wars like his father has, it will soon be young Alex Soros' turn as the torch is passed on to the next generation of power-hungry psychopaths to have his legacy in the establishment of a new world order established by utilizing his father's technique of achieving order out of chaos. But for every step they take towards this agenda, we will be 2 steps ahead, exposing their corruption and plans for global domination. You can help us defeat this beast by donating to our cause or by joining us as a PFT member or a PFT patron.